a Cincinnati Mission covers the eastern half of Indiana, just outside of Indianapolis, probably about 20 minutes. So that whole half of the state. The cities of Cincinnati and the Dayton stake. So that's the bottom half of Dayton. So really there's only a small portion of Ohio in my mission. And then the northern tip of Kentucky. So it covers, I only served in Ohio, so I know that there's the Cincinnati stake, Cincinnati North, Cincinnati East, and Dayton stakes, I think. I think those are all the stakes in Ohio. And then there's Fort Wayne and Muncie stakes in Indiana. I think those are all the stakes. I can't remember any others. But yeah, so the boundaries are probably about 5 to 6 hours from top to bottom and probably about 4 hours right to left. And then the vast majority of missionaries speak English, but there are Spanish elders that they move around. There's a huge Hispanic population in Cincinnati, and so a lot of missionaries, there's one Spanish zone that covers the whole mission, but they're constantly rotating Spanish missionaries out of Indiana, into Indiana, Kentucky, out of Kentucky. Most of them are in the Miami River branch in Ohio. When I left, there were 3 sets of elders in one branch in Miami River branch in Ohio. But those are the only 2 languages. There aren't any Spanish-speaking sisters at this point. So there are 3 temples. The Indianapolis temple was dedicated when I was about at my year mark. There's Indianapolis temple, Columbus, Ohio, and then Louisville. And Columbus and Louisville were open, and then the Indianapolis one opened. They're all about an hour and a half to 2 hours outside of our mission, so there isn't a temple in our mission yet, but there's 3 of them, and every 6 months missionaries have the opportunity to go and do a session with their zone, but every month, twice a month, you have an opportunity to take either a returning member or a recent convert to the temple to do baptisms. And so there's a temple trip at the beginning and at the end of the month. And if you happen to have an investigator or returning member that you've been working with that's temple worthy, you can take them for their first time back to the temple. So I was able to go to the temple about 3 times to do a session, and then I think I went 3 times to take someone to do baptisms. So you get your chance to go and worship in the temple. When it does happen, it's a very, very exciting experience to be able to leave the mission and go adventuring a little bit. So that's fun. So there's a lot of different denominations in Cincinnati and in Indiana. Lots of Pentecostal, lots of Baptist, a huge Catholic population in some of the more affluent areas. And for the most part, people they've heard of Mormons. If anything, they've heard of Mitt Romney, so they've heard of Mormons. And you get you'll be walking down the street and they'll be like, oh, I voted for Mitt. And it's like, cool, we don't care. So they know who you are, but they don't exactly know what you're about unless they know a member. And the members down there are very good at making their presence known. And we are trained as missionaries to make sure that they know how to invite people to learn more about the gospel, or even just how to share it in their daily life. That was, whenever we went to meal appointments, that was our job, was to teach the members how to share the gospel in a non-threatening way. And we had a lesson that we had to pass off every couple months or so called the Invite by the Spirit lesson, that our mission president worked with every individual stake president to create this lesson. And we as sister training leaders or zone leaders would go in and make sure our missionaries knew the lesson, knew the commitments that we were supposed to leave, and the different scriptures and the quotes that we were supposed to use. And it was something that we taught a lot. And so these members, like every time we came to their house, we had to teach a different variation of it. And so they always knew what to expect when the missionaries came over. And we tried to make it as non-threatening as possible and like non-pushy. And the idea was to get referrals out of it, but a lot of times it was just to give them ideas of how they could spread the gospel in their own communities and with their friends and family members that weren't members of the church.